From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
The world is at a standstill. A pandemic that spread so fast we were not prepared. A virus that doesn't discriminate between class, race or gender. The UK government has placed measures never before seen in history.
The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades.
In a time when industries shut down, schools closed, hospitals were overrun and people could not visit friends and family, communities came together.
Just push them over this way.
One such organisation is Don's Local Action Group, who are a group of kind-hearted football fans and residents of Merton who took action to protect the most vulnerable.
We decided, right, okay, we're going to collect food proactively from outside supermarkets by asking people at safe distance for food as they're on the way into the shops. And then they put it on the table on the way out. We take it to the hub, we turn it into packs, and 1 week food packs, and we send it out to the people of Merton and Kingston that need it.
A call for help from the government led to a massive 750,000 volunteers stepping forward to help those most at risk to stay home. My partner Ellen and I also decided to help. So we're off to our first drop-off location. We have 9 care packages to deliver, so it shouldn't take us too long. We had no access to PPE. However, this was a problem for many. While the UK government tried importing masks from overseas, other countries started export bans to keep critical supplies to themselves, including China. We worried about getting the virus. So you can find them on Amazon. There's plenty, but every time you click into a link, it tells you they don't deliver to the UK anymore.
Do you think volunteers should be wearing gloves and masks?
So we're guided by Public Health England guidelines, and there's various things out there. It's what's interesting is a lot of these rules and regulations are kind of they're being written. They're being written ongoing. So it's not. There was no blueprint at the beginning of this, so we've used the various guidelines that are available. And as I say, like really, we limit the number of people in the room at the hub. It depends on what you read as to whether we should or we shouldn't. But it's certainly the distancing is one thing you can absolutely control.
So I'm just on the government's website and they've updated their guidelines on how to help safely during Covid-19, and I'm actually quite shocked they don't mention PPE anywhere. They mention keep a safe distance, sanitize your hands and don't enter the home, which we do, but I am shocked there's no PPE mentioned anywhere there. Now maybe it's because the government are well aware that there's no PPE in the country, but we do deliver food packages to people with COVID-19. So I would have thought it was a government requirement to protect ourselves and to protect other people, but at the moment, it's not.
I went onto the government guidelines here in the UK yesterday, and it's not written anywhere that volunteers need to be wearing gloves or masks, which I was actually quite shocked about.
Yeah, I think, if you can, it probably gives the people you are meeting confidence as well, that it's being taken seriously. But it's a balancing act. Clearly, the scarce resources, certainly early on in terms of masks and gloves, were needed at the front line.
Yeah.
As things move on, things might change, and if we're coming into closer contact with people, there may be a role for masks.
Actually, for my birthday this year, my mom put me over gloves and masks and stuff, so I've started wearing them now.
COVID-19 is a new virus and information is changing by the day on how best to protect ourselves. How long the virus can live on surfaces is another question troubling volunteers.
There was a very credible study done by the New England Journal of Medicine that claims the virus can last for 72 hours on plastic, 48 hours on steel and 24 hours on cardboard. What's your view on this?
infectivity did diminish over that period of time. So it isn't that the virus is absolutely stable and that the entire amount of infectious virus that was on the surface is still there after 72 hours, but there was sufficient virus there to set up an infection in a tissue culture.
So do you think people should be sanitizing their food packaging then?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because of course the other thing is the virus survives very well at 4 degrees C.
Okay.
So, the combination of a virus that can maintain some level of infectivity on plastic and then is preserved at low temperatures
Right.
would suggest that it's not a bad idea.
What do you think is the best way to sanitize packaging?
Yeah, so there, you don't want to be putting anything toxic into your fridge. The best thing for inactivating the virus is actually something that has about 70% alcohol in it. So, maybe just a dilute solution of alcohol with a tissue.
This pandemic has shaken society as we know it, and it is forcing us to think differently. We are now more aware than ever just how dependent we are on other people.
Today is actually meant to be me and Ellen's engagement party. If in a normal world we'd be in a beer garden somewhere enjoying this lovely weather, but circumstances don't allow it.
I think today it's actually just kind of hit home, like just what everybody's going through, and it's really upsetting.
Will a different country emerge?
I think lots of people will be sitting here now thinking, do I want to go back to my industry at the end of this? Or do I want to do something a bit different? Is there this accidental almost or coincidental socialism now happening? For all the sadness, that there's so much happiness out there from people that are receiving help from all the various groups.
When life does start back up again, will we see a different Britain? A society that cares for the vulnerable and realises the importance of family and community. Can we use this crisis to rebuild, to produce something better? Someday we will look back and say, when things were at their worst, we came together by staying apart.